Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Thank you so much for tuning in to Adobe Live's special Lightbox Expo streams. Now, that's a lot of stuff I just said, so let me unpack it a little bit and let's talk about what that all means. You're watching Adobe Live. This is our streaming show that we do every weekday to show you awesome tools, cool artists, and just like get you involved in the community and how you can get inspired from other people working. There's tons of stuff that happens on Adobe Live. So if you haven't been a part of it, you need to join. You can even stream yourself on Behance just like this. So come join us sometime because it'd be great. But if you're here for Lightbox Expo, let's talk a little bit about that too. Lightbox Expo is the best conference ever created. It is just a gathering of the best artists in the entire world who work in entertainment art. So we're talking movies, we're talking animation, we're talking video games, just all the cool stuff that I know you guys love because I love it too. And today I am so excited to have someone who's worked on my very favorite properties. So Chrystin Garland is my wonderful guest today. She's worked on She-Ra. She's worked on The Midnight Gospel. She worked on Niko and the Sword of Light, just like, brain explode at the beautiful art that you've been a part of. Chrystin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey as an artist and how you got to this point and what you're doing today?
Definitely. I feel like my journey has kind of been all over the place. I was always the type of kid who really enjoyed drawing. I could just sit down with a sketchbook and I'd be doodling for hours. And I went to college initially for traditional animation. I was really excited at the prospect of making characters move. And it was just so exciting. And I really enjoyed my time at the Savannah College of Art and Design. That's where I went to school. And yeah. So when I graduated, it just so happened that I wasn't really finding a lot of work for animation. And so I thought, okay, well, what can I do next? Because I still want to make a living being creative. And so I thought, well, digital painting, I have Photoshop here. Like I could just learn how to do that. And from there, I worked in comics for a bit. I worked in video games animating for a little bit. And eventually I just kept submitting work online and taking various gigs here and there. And eventually Titmouse reached out with the Niko and the Sword of Light project. And they're just like, do you want to clean up some character designs? And I was like, sure. Oh my gosh, let's do it. So
that is so cool. Yeah. I can't imagine. They reached out to you and you were like,
Oh yeah. Just freaking out.
Oh, that is so amazing. And so what are you doing today? Are you still a freelancer or are you working for a studio?
Yeah, right now I'm working full-time at Netflix Animation on a show called My Dad, the Bounty Hunter.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Oh my gosh. I don't know anything about that. Is it out? Is there stuff online about it or?
It's just been announced. So there's not, so I can't say too much, but it's super duper cool. Everett Downing and, oh my gosh.
It's okay. I do that all the time. Yeah, I blank all the time. The other day, I couldn't come up with the word business card. I couldn't come up with the word business card, which is ridiculous.
Oh my God.
But I love what's happening at Netflix. You must feel so supported because they're really making a lot of great cartoons right now.
They really are. There's a lot of really great stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm just so excited for this new lineup that's coming up. So I can't wait for everybody to see. But yeah, I wanted to say that Patrick Harpin and Everett Downing are our showrunners, and they've been doing such a fantastic job. And our crew is just like really great. And Yuki Demers and Alex Konstad are our art director and production designer. And they've just been doing such a great job at not only like designing the direction of the show, but also corralling all these really great artists together. And we're just like a really, just awesome crew. It's rare that you find a crew that really just jives together and really enjoys the project that they're working on. So I think, I feel like everyone also says that. They're just like, this show that I'm on is the best.
But that's Good. That's so beautiful and pure to hear you say that, because, you know, it brings a level of, I don't know, honesty to the art. I think whenever you're loving what you're doing and you're loving the people that you're working with, it really does make the final product better. So that gets me really excited to see Monster Hunter Dad. Is that it? What is it?
My Dad, the Bounty Hunter.
My Dad, the Bounty Hunter.
Close,
sorry,
though.
I got it mixed up. I got it all mixed up. But now, my favorite stuff that you've worked on would be She-Ra and the Midnight Gospel. And especially, I'm curious about the Midnight Gospel, if there's any juicy details about like what it was like to work on that, because it's such a unique show. So cool.
It definitely is. And it's also, I just love the color palette of the show because I was a background painter on it. So I'm biased. It was really great.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Well, I'd love to take a peek at some of your art. And I think you had it opened up in Photoshop. So if you don't mind showing us a couple pieces. So let's go ahead and see the art that you love to do. Oh my gosh. Wow. Is this just your personal artwork that for you, or is it stuff that you've done in production?
Oh, no, this is my personal art. I just really enjoy anything fantastical. I also really love dark fantasy. This is just my chance to noodle and paint to my heart's content. Thank you. This particular image, what I really love to do is I like to think of fairy tales and put my own spin on it. So when I was originally working on this, I thought it could be a spin off of the Seven Swans or the Seven Ravens fairy tale from the Brothers Grimm. And the more I started painting it, the more, because originally it was supposed to be like these all of the brothers turning into crows or into ravens. And then at some point I was just like, what if they were just like this race of flying people and they're teaching their sister to fly for the first time? Because she doesn't get wings in the fairy tale. So it eventually morphed into its own thing.
I love that. And what a deep cut fairy tale. I feel like you're a fairy tale expert here. Like, that's wonderful. I love it. Wow. What else you got?
Okay, let's see. So this one is another one of my favorites.
This is a bride and a groom, isn't it?
Oh, it's supposed to be like a bride and her father. So he has like the little tears here because he's giving his daughter away.
The fish bride. I love this.
Like fish dad.
Oh.
Some people have been asking me like, well, who's the groom? And maybe I'll do a painting one day of the other side, and then maybe we could put both together. So it'll just be one big piece.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love what I really like. And especially you brought up colors, and I noticed it in your last picture too. You've got really like, I don't know, it's a really succinct color palette in both of those, even though the last one you used a lot, but this one especially, it's like these peachy salmons and this blue. Oh, they just sing together. How do you pick that? Like, how do you find your colors?
It's a lot of it is intuition, because you just get the vibe for a painting. But sometimes when I don't know what I want, I'll do a small like color key, and that way I can experiment with different colors, and I really don't have to worry about investing too much time or getting too far into a render without with the chance of messing up in quotations. That. Yeah.
I know that feeling. You've gone like 20 hours on something and then you're like, oh great, I hate these colors.
Exactly. I feel like for sea paintings, it's just like, oh yeah, little blues and greens, I suppose. And then, but then I always think too, like it's the reason I'm able to get away with a lot of colors is because I have a pretty strong idea of what I want the main color to be. And then the rest should be supporting. So, you know how sometimes in design, they say like, go big, medium, small, as far as your shapes go. You can also apply that to color. So you can have like your primary color and then your secondary colors and your tertiary colors. And I guess that's another way that you can approach color design.
Makes sense. I love that, because immediately in this picture I see that. The first one is this beautiful blue teal, and then the second one is this beautiful salmon, and then the third is that pop of those trumpets, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
So cool. Okay, next one. I want to see more.
yeah, sure. So that's kind of like the same idea here, because I knew when I started, like, I wanted to be really red. I wanted to use a lot of magentas, and then from there I was able to piece down what the other colors would be without being too overwhelming.
Wow. And this one is, there's so much action going on in this picture, but you really kept it succinct still through the colors, I feel like, because there's so much going on. There's these fluffy outfits, but I can still see what's going on. You're still drawing my eye along. I love this. What's the story behind this picture?
Oh gosh. Well, this one is based off of my comic that I created for an anthology. It was called Explore the Lost Islands. And it was my very first story that was ever published. So it meant a lot to me. And it's about this little girl who goes to this magical island where there's a masquerade happening and everyone's wearing masks and she's looking for her father. But then she finds out that the guy who she thought was her father isn't. And in fact, no one on the island is who they think they're going to be, because spoilers, when the clock turns midnight, they take off their masks and they're all skeletons and they chase her around.
That's fun though. Wow.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one.
That is so cool. I love it. Oh, okay. Okay. More treats for the eyes. This is from that book, right? There's the anthology book. I'm not remembering the name.
Elements. Yeah.
Elements. That's right. I recognize this right away. I can't believe you were part of that anthology. That's so great. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. The anthology is, this was the second in the series, and it's curated by Tanika Stotts, and she's just fantastic. And it's all about each book has a different theme. So the first one was all the stories had to deal with fire, and this one was earth. And the really great thing about it too is that this is an anthology purely created by creators of color. So it's really just us trying to get our stories out and to show just the wide range of not only artists, but stories that could be told by people from their own demographics.
So cool. And if you're not following Tanika Stotts on Twitter, I feel like you should. So that's my little shout out, because I love Tanika Stotts too. She's great. Okay, let's go on to some more stuff.
Yeah. So this was a really long one.
Beautiful.
It's so huge.
Wow.
I really just got obsessed with pans. And I think that's why this one was just a really long format, because I just love the idea of a camera being able to go up and down your image and to be able to tell a full story that way.
So beautiful. And it's, again, I see that color story that we were talking about. Like, you've got the primary and tertiary colors just working in together. Oh, so good.
Thank you. And then this one's back to fairy tales.
Oh, it's like a frozen lake. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was really inspired by the 12 Dancing Princesses. And in the version that I remember as a child, all of the princes that the princesses would sneak off to the ball to dance with, they were secretly monsters the entire time. So that's why we have our monster down here. But then I thought, once I finished this painting, I was just like, oh, well, what if they were like cursed princes? So then I did a version where I flipped it, and we have the monsters on top, and then their real reflection in the water below.
That is so cool. And what I love is this like crystal crazy monster. It's very Ghibli. That's what it reminds me of, is like the forest spirit a little bit, which of course it's a different direction, but I love it. I love it.
I will take a Ghibli compliment any day. That is the highest.
I did kind of correct myself, because you know how sometimes people are like, this looks like Superman, and you're like, thanks. So I just felt bad about that for a second. I'm sorry. Thank you for being so gracious.
No, you're fine. Like I feel when it comes to art, like everyone has inspiration, like nothing happens in a vacuum. So when people like pick out like, oh yeah, this reminds me of this, it's just like, oh yeah, I can totally see that. So I personally don't take offense.
Well, thank you. And I love these monsters. They're so great.
Thank you.
All right, what else we got here to wow the people with? Oh, whoa, there's troll people in the mountains. The mountains are people. That's amazing.
This was done for a gallery show, and it took place in like a climbing gym. So all of our art had to have something to do with like climbers, and I'm afraid of heights. So I was really struggling with what to create for this one. But I also like the idea of I just got a vision in my head about moving mountains. And I also like the phrase, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I thought, oh, well, what if we had like kingdoms that were built on top of these mountains? And maybe the mountains are actually like cursed kings that are doomed to roam the plains with just their people on their backs frozen in time. I always like to think of stories when I'm painting.
I can tell. And, it comes through in these pictures, like every single image that you just showed us, they're all stories in and of themselves. Like it begs the question, like, I want to know what's going on because of the way that you've drawn this, I want to know who this climber is immediately. And every single piece that you've shown has that element of storytelling. And I just love it. So great. No, thank you. It's such a joy. Okay, so we were going to play around in Fresco today, and I think you had a sketch ready. Is that right?
That is correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow, she's so cute. So tell me about this little moth lady.
Yeah. She's just a cute moth girl. I may or may not have a story in the works for this as well, but
I think you do. There's like this 20-page backstory. I just know it.
There is. I have notebooks that are just filled with just one-liners or maybe like page-long ideas. And what I really love about creating these illustrations is that you can get so much across with one picture. Like a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
Whereas with animation, it takes like a whole team to get that story across. So this is a lot of like that storytelling energy that I can get out quickly and efficiently.
Well, I love it. It feels like you have so many stories inside of you. So I'm just glad that I get to take part of it. Okay, so we were going to show the good people out there in TV land, in internet TV land, how to turn something into a cloud document and switch to Fresco, because there's this magical thing where you don't have to transfer files with Fresco. And that includes if you're on a Windows machine, or if you're on an iPad, or if you're on an iPhone, your files just go with you everywhere. No more Dropbox, no more nothing. So it's kind of fun. And I think what you have to do is go to File, Save, and it might prompt you. It might be like, do you want to make a cloud doc? Let's see what happens when we do that.
Just
hit
save.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just hit save and see if it pops. You might have to do save as, actually. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Guess who didn't do their homework?
Oh, no.
And then underneath the save as type, it says save to cloud documents. You see that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so you click that, and what's going to happen is Photoshop's going to open up this little document or this window that shows all your cloud documents. And so you can just hit save right there, and it's going to go ahead and save. And now, of course, it's going to space, y'all. It's taking all of them little bits and it's shooting it up through the internet and then going back down to space. So it does take a little bit sometimes, but the team's totally improved a lot in the last 2 years on how quick it is. So we could go to Fresco now and we could see if it's showed up. Because the whole point was just to like have you sort of take your fresh takes on Fresco. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to help Chrystin out with any of the things that maybe she doesn't understand or anything she might need help with in Fresco, even though she's an incredible artist and I can tell she's very technical and she probably won't need my help. But that's the point, is to have you guys see what it's like for somebody who's kind of new to Fresco to try it out. And so here we are. This is the Fresco home screen, and you can see right there's your document. And now if you had an iPad, it would just automatically show up there. And if you had the iPhone, you'd have it show up there. And it's telling you like, hey, by the way, your Photoshop layers are preserved. So what this means is if you have stuff that Fresco can't do yet, it'll protect it. And that's that last layer is the background layer. It's like protecting the background layer from getting hurt in case it was something special. Right. It's not, it's just the background layer. But you could rasterize that if you want, but that's why Fresco is giving you that little pop-up, just in case you're worried about something. It's like, nope, I'm going to protect it. So here we are. You got all your layers. What's your first step to start laying down color?
Oh, okay. What do I want to do? I think flatting the image would be great. So
how do you like to flat? Do you like to use a flat brush, or?
Yeah, I usually just go in with like a hard round or one with pin pressure on, and then I'll pick a crazy color, like a really bright color.
Yeah. Totally.
Because there are some artists that like to, there we go. There are some artists that like to paint with a color that they know they're going to use in the final. But for me, this is the time when I start thinking about the color palette, and I don't want to get married to anything too quickly. So I just go
like
in.
that. That's really reserved of you, because I think I do that as well, where I just like I walk myself down the wrong path, if that makes sense, by deciding things before I'm ready to decide them. Renee's art confessions all out here.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I think I need to grab something else. Is it okay if we switch off my screen for a little bit?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Switch off the screen and let me go ahead and take a look at the chat, and let's see. If y'all are out there in the chat, give me a shout out on where you're at and what your favorite shows are from Netflix when it comes to animated shows, so that we can sort of have that to chat about. Let's see here who we've got. People are very excited. They want to know your Instagram, so you're going to have a bunch new followers. Let me tell you, that's going to happen.
Well, I'm Lady Garland on Instagram.
Yep, we got that going on for you. For sure.
Sweet. Okay.
We're linking them out. We're making sure you got those followers.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, I think we can go back to my screen now.
Okay, all good.
Yay.
So I'm going to babble and let you work. And please feel free to interrupt me, but I was going to tell the people about flatting in case they didn't know, and let you spend your time working on this beautiful picture. So flatting, you get that crisp outline and you can separate parts of the picture. Like, I don't know where she's going, but maybe she's going to make the wings a separate piece and her hair a separate piece. And then you get to use the different flat colors. You can work on them separately, either by lock transparency or by clipping masks. Which one do you think you prefer?
I usually lock transparency.
Nice.
And then I'll use clipping masks for extra details.
Oh yeah.
So I'll use both, but definitely for flats, it's usually just a lock transparency for me.
Yeah, I like that too. With clipping masks, I tend to get sort of a little confused, I think, about all the crazy, I don't know, like which one's going to affect which, or which one's going on. I don't know. It just tends to, it's too many layers because I want to put a bunch of layers on it. I don't know why. I'll have like 20 clipping layers. Just more of Renee art confessions.
That's true. No, I've been known for using way too many clipping masks, and then especially on the job, they're just like, these files are huge. You need to flatten them. So then I'll go in and flatten a few things, because sometimes I don't even need that many clipping masks, to be honest. It's more of a matter of indecision.
Yeah, I know that. I know that so well. Gosh, we got a lot of people from around the world here. We've got San Jose in Texas. We've also got Guatemala showing up in the chat, Copenhagen, Queens, Brooklyn. You've got an audience of the world right now, and they are very happy to share their Netflix fans or their favorite shows too. Full Metal Alchemist, who doesn't love anime? Come on.
Yes,
Hilda. Yeah, come on. Who doesn't love anime? Come on. Love, Death, and Robots, Voltron. I really love what Netflix is doing, so it's very cool that you're getting to work for them.
Oh yeah, I consider myself very, very lucky to do what I do, for sure.
It's also well met, because, well matched, because you've got a skill for storytelling for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. The flatting process is really fun, I think. I think inking is probably the process that is the hardest for me.
Right. It takes because I used to ink all the time traditionally.
Right.
And my friends and I we met in middle school, and we've been friends ever since. And we would always have, like, one of our big bonding experiences were these sketchbooks, and we would all draw on them together. It was like a communal sketchbook. And we would just have like our little Prismacolor markers and whatever else we could grab around the house, and we would have to ink everything there. And so I think at that point I thought, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at creating a stable line. And then when I started working digitally, I was just like, oh no, things are different. So there was a little bit of a learning curve there.
Oh, I remember that learning curve. I remember when I was better on paper than digitally, and it's a struggle. It feels difficult. It's not, but the skills do transfer. And if you're out there and you're struggling, remember that you can capture it. It's just going to take a little bit of readjusting, but you can do it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And everyone should. If you're not drawing out there, you should draw. I'm a big believer in it. So,
what got you into drawing?
Oh man, what didn't? I never not drew my whole life. Never not drew. Very good speaker here. I don't remember a time I didn't. I always drew horses and dinosaurs. Those are always my favorites. And I didn't get into drawing people until high school, actually.
Oh, wait, so horses, that's really good because horses are really difficult to draw, I think.
They are really difficult, but it's just like anything else where once you've got the proportions down, you're kind of good. Mm-hmm. So, it's just like people are hard to draw too. So yeah, but I know it's one of those things that it's been like on Twitter, it's been like a big meme about like, no, not a horse, like artists having to draw horses is like a whole part of Twitter, honestly.
True. I took an animal anatomy class once because I just knew I was avoiding animals like the plague. And they were telling me that an easy way to think of horse legs is like the front legs are like human arms and the back legs are like an ostrich, like ostrich legs.
It's true that knee bone is super high up, right?
Yeah.
And then they're literally walking on their tiptoes. Yeah, it's so cool. I love that you took a class just about animals because, there's similarities, but there's so many differences in animals. Do you all out there have some animals in the chat that you love to draw or that you don't like to draw? We already got people weighing in. People are like, I love it. Former horse girls represent. And
yes.
Oh, it's tricky. It really is. And a lot of people expressing that jump to, from traditional to digital and how tricky that was. There's a lot of shared experience in the chat. Oh, this is good. So are you going to start with two of them or how many more do you think you would do normally in flats?
If I wanted to get like super into it, I could definitely get different layers for the skirt and for her antennae and all that. But sometimes I'll just try and keep it basic and that way I can, and especially in the earlier stages when I was talking about doing a color rough, I try to keep my flats minimal because that way I can just paint on top, see what I like and what I don't like, and then later I can go in and create really intricate flats. But it's a balance. I don't want to get too much because then the file gets huge.
Totally. And we only have about, 25 minutes for you to continually like work on this. So what I love is I'm already getting that you are an excellent planner from this. Like you're able to plan ahead, you're able to hold back. And that's such an admirable quality because I think I go straight to too much detail, which you might be able to tell already about me. I'm always into the details, Oh,
it's an easy trap to fall into for sure.
It's where I live. That's the trap where I live, honestly. Ooh, look at this brush. I love it.
These brushes are fantastic. I really enjoy them.
So glad. It's like the whole dry effects, like the whole like line of brushes in Fresco are like my favorites. And I basically live there too. I live in the detail trap and in the dry effects brushes. That's where you can find me.
See, and that's the thing too, talking about like jumping into details too quickly. I tend to jump into painting too quickly. Like this sketch right here is me really trying to make an effort to be cleaner with my work. Because in the past I would just draw a really like stick figure and then I would go in and just go straight to painting, but the painting would take longer and I would just be like, why is it taking so long? I was like, maybe because you didn't figure out what the anatomy looks like first. Like, maybe if you loved yourself more.
Why you gotta hurt me like this, Chrystin? She's speaking directly to my soul. This is what I do, guys. How did she know? So there's a question in the chat about what the advantages are of Fresco over Photoshop. And I'm going to take it a little bit while you paint, because I don't think it's about advantages. It's just like, how do I say this? You know, if somebody's drawing with colored pencils and you're a watercolor artist, you don't walk over to them and slap the colored pencils out of their hands, right? Like, you get to use whatever you want to use. And all tools are just more parts of your arsenal to create cool art. And so we made Fresco to be a complement to Photoshop, but it's also a totally fully functional artistic program all on itself, where you can make art that's beautiful and professional and gorgeous. So it's up to you what the advantages are. For me, it's got vector and raster brushes, which is fun, right? You can work all on the same canvas. And then it's focused for drawing. Like, there's not all the other stuff in the way. And then you can always go back to Photoshop anytime you want, right? So it's kind of like you get your cake and you eat it too, in my opinion. But I do work for Adobe, but that's why we've got Chrystin here, because she doesn't work for Adobe. And so we're here to get her feelings about Fresco. Wow, I love this already. You're adding some beautiful shades on there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I just love these brushes. I'm just having a great time.
What do you think so far that you like best? Or, you know, it is your first impression. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Don't get pressured to say something you don't believe in.
Sure. Yeah. So first impressions wise, I think these blending options that you have for these brushes are really nice. And I feel like I'm able to get a desired effect that I want, like, a lot faster than I have been with my current workflow in Photoshop. Like, there might be a way to achieve this just as quickly, but I don't know of it yet.
Right. So it's mostly brushes, and you know, you can still go to Photoshop. That's what I think is beautiful.
Yeah. I like the versatility of it. And this really makes me want to try this out, because I don't have an iPad, but now I want to get one and try this out.
Run around in the world.
Yeah.
That's part of the power of it.
Right. It's so easy, I think, to get comfortable with one particular workflow and just stick with that. But I found, especially in television animation, when you're switching from show to show, everyone has a different art direction. So being flexible and being able to try different things, it really helps you in the long run. So
it does.
Really nice.
And, you know, just going digital is so helpful, because you can swap these colors, you can add different lighting effects. Like, you need that sort of level of flexibility.
Yeah.
My tablet fell on me. I'm sorry. I'm looking down and I'm like, oh my gosh. I wanted to make sure it wasn't my microphone that fell off. Like, really flopped in my lap unexpectedly. I apologize for that.
Okay.
We've got a lot of happy people in the chat talking about their favorite brushes. And we got somebody apologizing for some crunchy talk earlier, which I am going to address just really quickly. It's okay. It's okay. We're all friends here. I really believe that, you know, that there's a world for all apps and all tools. It's just like the analogy of watercolors versus colored pencils. Like, you as an artist should use what works for you, no matter what. Yeah, so good. I don't believe in taking sides in any war. That's not true. But when it comes to creating art, all art is valid.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh, I love these colors you're picking.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so bright and beautiful. It makes me think of Carnival or
oh my gosh,
something festive.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, I love bright colors. So
well, from Shira and all your work, and like, it's obvious. Like, this is your comfy zone, huh?
This is where I live, for sure.
Yes. Come to the colored side.
Yes. Like, that was what was so awesome when I was working on Midnight Gospel, is the color palettes were so wild, and we really kind of had carte blanche to do whatever we wanted. Like, of course, our art director, Jesse Moynihan, would like reel us in every once in a while, but we really like had the full spectrum to work from. And that was really nice.
Nice.
Just be able to be like, this could look interesting. Let's go for it. Why not?
Right. Because sometimes people really do have a look and feel that they want, right? Like, and you're kind of locked into it. And that must be hard as an artist. Have you run into that where like a production has sort of strictness?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't look at it as being strict. It's just every show has a specific art direction that they're going for. So you have a particular set of rules that you want to work in order to make sure that everything looks consistent. And there are some times where the art direction jives with me personally, because they're like, this is something I can totally rock. And then there are other times where the color palette or the design, like shape language, might be a little outside of something that I normally work with. And I look at that as like a challenge, like, okay, well, how can I work within this in order to match the style and the overall tone of the show. And that's always interesting too, because especially if it's different, you get to learn something new, and that's suddenly a new tool, like in your tool belt, right? Like a little.
Yeah. And it is about trying new things. That's where you stretch your artistic muscles. And you mentioned a really cool thing that I'm going to kind of unpack for the audience, which is shape language. If you don't know about shape language, it's pretty important. And I think a really easy way to talk about it would be like maybe The Croods. Like that's a show that has like specific shape language, right? Where in The Croods, all the characters have like, they're kind of blocky, and triangular. It evokes a certain feeling. And then on the other side, gosh, something like Aeon Flux or something like weird long shape language. And the way that you design your shapes can not only tell a person about a character, but it can tell a person about a world. And that's why it's important to consider that, to really think about it when you're drawing. And I think I just put together that she's a cotton candy moth, and I'm like losing my mind over it. You guys know about the cotton candy moth? All y'all out there in internet TV land, please dial it up because it's so cute. It's this fluffy pink and yellow moth. And oh my gosh, Chrystin, this is so great.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a whole like Pinterest board full of moths.
Okay, so real talk. I like the cotton candy moth. It's beautiful. But I get really uncomfortable around real moths because like they're trying to fly in your nose and you know it. They're trying to get in your face. And I hate it.
It's so true. Oh my goodness. No, and this is the thing too. I have such a weird fascination with bugs, but I'm terrified of most of them, especially spiders. Really? But I think like cartoon spiders are some of my favorite designs. I don't know why I'm like this.
Well, jumping spiders are really cute. I'm actually a huge spider fan. I like stand for spiders. Yeah, I do. And they're not even spooky to me at all. Like, I mean, clearly anything that jumps on your face and like tries to bite you is scary. So I'm not saying I'm not going to jump, but I like them and I try to be kind to them. But moths is where I draw the line. And let me tell you, just confidentially, just between you and me and 200 people, I got to see a hummingbird moth in person, and they're really rare and really weird. They're these moths that literally look like hummingbirds. And it was so funny to be like having this magical experience with this rare creature that most people don't ever see in their lifetime and be completely horrified at the same time. Like trying to absorb like the rareness of this creature and also like wanting to scream and run away. I don't like hummingbirds either. So that's why it's kind of, I forgot to fill y'all in. It's like the nexus of like the anti-animal for me, which is not, I mean, they have a place in the world. I'm not trying to say they don't, but that place in the world is far away from me.
Wait, so what is it about hummingbirds that you dislike?
Oh my God. Well, okay. When I was like 12, I got my first experience with hummingbirds, and they were in some sort of horrible, like, territorial battle. And so it was like a really gnarly experience for a 12-year-old. And hummingbirds sound like bugs, and I've never seen one, and they're like buzzing and attacking each other, and there's feathers and blood, and it was just terrifying. And so I've never been able to get over the trauma of that first time hummingbird experience. And so the hummingbird moth is like my nightmare, like my absolute nightmare. Like, how could you do this to me, universe? I don't understand.
Oh no.
And it's silly. I know it's silly, but okay. Less about me and my very specific animal twitches, and more about the beautiful thing that you're making. Did you use the smudge brush there? I missed it because I was busy talking.
Oh yeah. I was using which one was it? And that's the other thing too. I love that there are so many different smudge brushes that you could mess around with. So I think I used graphite.
Oh, love it.
Yeah,
for all y'all out there on the internet land, any of those brushes can be a smudge brush, and it's all under that little finger tool. And I love that effect because it's still like you're blending, but it's still got that nice texture in it. Really, really beautiful.
This is so much fun. I could spend all day on this.
Good. You should be having fun. We got just about 15 minutes. A little bit shy. I know. And I'm just telling you, not to worry you, but just to get you excited about where more you can go with it. So a little bit less, but we'll be good.
Okay.
I promise. It's already gorgeous, and the chat is loving it. And people are really excited about the hummingbird moth, which is I'm feeling sad for how I've slandered them.
They're gonna get you. They're gonna send an ambassador.
No, I'm not that important. And people are also horrified that I don't like hummingbirds. They're just like, what are you talking about? Now, I like them. I just don't want them near me. That's all. They're fine. They can live in the world. Just not near my world, please. Not near my world.
One time I went to a butterfly garden and I didn't realize that butterflies would like come after you if you had a Slurpee or some sort of really sweet beverage.
Even just a perfume that they're excited about, and you might get in trouble.
No.
Yeah. Did they all descend upon you in a storm?
Yeah, they kind of swarmed me a little bit. It was fun for a little bit, and they were just like, "Hey, how do I
get out of here?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. They're so fragile. I worry about running into them. Especially in one of those big rooms. We've got a butterfly room here in San Francisco at the Academy of Sciences. And I'm always worried about that.
Oh man, it was really beautiful. We had a super bloom a couple of years ago here in LA. And it was just like all of these, what type of butterflies were they? They were orange. I think they're called like an empress or something. But they were everywhere, just this big parade. And that was super cool. But then somebody was talking about how they kept running into people's windshields while they were driving their cars. And I'm like, oh no.
Actually, I had that myself driving back from my brother's, not butterflies, but it was some other creature. We were actually driving through down from Oregon. There was the wildfires in the middle of outside of Redding a couple months back. And we drove through some sort of crazy poor migration from the wildfires of some bug. And I don't know what it was, but let me tell you, there were a lot of them in the grill of my car.
No.
I know, I felt so bad, like I don't want to kill anything at all. So it was
right.
It was not great. Didn't love it. Had to get my car washed immediately after. Oh, it's so beautiful.
I'm really excited now that Halloween is coming up.
Ooh.
Because I'm just like, I want to do a creepy painting.
Oh yeah. I
That's what
love
I was
Halloween.
debating
Wow.
between, actually.
But this is so great. And it got us on the moth discussion. So I do love that.
Yeah, for sure.
So pretty.
Yeah, I have an aunt who has a fairy collection
Yeah.
at home, and it's paintings, it's statues, it's all sorts of stuff. And she's always telling me, like, you need to draw me a fairy. And I have over the years.
Yeah.
And this is just reminding me I should probably make her another one soon.
Well, this could be tribute, right? This can
There
be
you
tribute
go.
to my aunt who loves it.
My
My mom loved giraffes. That was her. You know, like you got a thing and it's you. People know me for pineapples. They buy me pineapples.
So,
it stopped though.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where like one person bought it and then everyone started buying it for you.
Yes, and you don't even know how many pineapples are surrounding me off screen. It's just a sea. It's a sea of pineapples. And I do like pineapples. Don't get me wrong. They are. It is my favorite fruit. It's just so acidic. It kind of cuts my tongue a little bit.
Oh yeah, that happens to me when I eat too many chips.
Yeah,
You just get that salty,
sensitive
thing. Yeah, the roof of your tongue.
Yeah. Everyone says this looks incredible. From Norval. Thank you so much. Paige says, love where this is going. Yeah, so nice. Rob McCallum, it's nice to see you in the chat, my friend. He's on the level with moths with me.
Yeah. He knows what's up.
He knows what's up. And we've got a question about dragonflies from Sherman, like what we think about that. But dragonflies are great. I actually love all bugs. I don't mean to disparage. It's just, it's moths that get my, raise the hair on the back of my neck. That's where it's like, I have a visceral, it's like that visceral reaction. But all bugs should belong in this beautiful world with us. That's my belief.
That's good. That's a good moral to have. Or is that a moral belief? Yeah.
It's a good belief. It's a good place to put my faith in. So we're coming up on 10 minutes, my dear.
Okay.
I know. I wish we had more time. This is just, it's just not enough time with you. And what I would like to propose while you're still working is that we come back, that you come back to Adobe Live in the near future, and we make sure that the people get you for a much longer session so that you can create.
Absolutely. I would love that. I think one of my favorite things is just chilling and talking with people. That's what I used to do in school. And it's just a nice vibe to be like a sketch jam.
It is. It's totally a sketch jam.
But thank you for inviting me back. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, you're already going to be back so that we can spend more time with you. And I'm just sorry that our schedule was so packed today. We weren't able to give you more time, but we still got about, like I said, we got about 5 minutes. So don't worry too much. Just make sure that you get those sweet little details in there that you want.
I will.
Would you ever consider creating a short story with a fairy like this? Asks Norval.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you.
You just asked the question.
It's happening. No, I want to do a whole story where it's a bunch of fairies and elves, and it's all surrounded around insects. So we have a tribe of people who ride around on ants, and then we have a tribe of people who ride around on moths, and they're like moth warriors. And yeah, it's definitely I have a whole notebook dedicated to it. But it's also one of those things where it's just I'm working on it, but don't get too hype about it because it's still in the beginning stages.
I'm your hype. No, I'm your hype person. Everyone get hype about it. Everyone follow Chrystin on IG and keep her with her fairy story in her back pocket so that we can see this come to life, because we need to see this. I can't believe you are. Of course you had a story. I don't know why I asked that question when we went through all your art just 20 minutes ago, and you had a story for every single one. feeling a little like I wasn't using my brain very hard there, because of course you do. Of course you do. Amazing.
Yeah.
And
oh, sorry. What were you saying?
no, Ren says, thank you so much for streaming. She loves your work. I'm sorry. I don't know gender. I apologize for that. They love your work, and all the nature and fairy and folklore stuff is really resonating.
Yes. It's so much fun, and you can do really anything with it. I think that's just what I love so much about it. I think a lot of the tales are universal, you know, because it's mostly like melodrama, right? It's betrayal, love, curses, blessings, like all of those things. And you can switch up the setting, switch up the characters, and have as much fun as you want.
That still resonates.
Yeah.
I love it too.
Shakespeare is kind of like that too.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we used to go to Ashland, Oregon, and they would have a Shakespeare festival there every year. And it was so cool to me how each story that they were telling, or each play, sometimes it would be set in modern day. Sometimes they would do like this really artistic, like high art, I guess. Things like one time they did Richard III, and the whole thing with Richard III is he's supposed to be like this super ugly character, but he's very smart, and he works his way through all of these people in line to be king so that he can become king one day. And in the show, they had him like going across the stage with these cool crutches, and he was leaning on them in this really specific way where it made him look like a spider, and the movement was just so cool. So I'm also really influenced by stage shows and stage productions when it comes to my art.
They're so classic, right? And it's storytelling in a way that's unique. And again, I can tell that that's where your heart is storytelling. So I'm giving you the 2-minute warning that they're going to make me wrap up in 2 minutes. But keep working. I just want you to have as much time as possible because she's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah,
I got a lot of.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I'll definitely finish this up and post it to my Instagram so everyone can see.
Yes, please. We have people in the chat asking for that. And maybe if y'all got questions for her, because I do see some questions in the chat that I just don't have enough time to get to, because I know that we could spend forever talking to Chrystin here. Why don't you follow her on Instagram, wait for her to post this final picture, and then ask her again there. And then we're making the world a beautiful place by supporting artists and getting people connected. And yeah, so I apologize for not being able to ask your questions, which are all amazing in the chat, but let's let Chrystin finish this up and enjoy drawing first. And it would be great, just to hear what you think about Fresco in that post too. Like, let the people know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The team really wants to hear feedback, and they want to work with artists to make a really great tool. So it's okay to be picky. It's okay to tell them what you want. Oh, I'm getting the hook. They switched us. Oh, okay. All right.
Is this the Oscar music?
Yeah, exactly. Right. They start playing the music. Well, Chrystin, I had such a great time talking to you and creating today. I hope you enjoyed Fresco. Thank you so much for being a part of Lightbox Expo. Please come back to Adobe Live. We've got to spend more time with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This has really been such a treat.
Beautiful work, and we just didn't have enough time to spend with you, so we'll bring you back. And thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.